In the name of God, our Maker, Redeemer, and Friend. Amen. I don't think it's just my imagination, but it seems like I hear people more and more complaining about how busy they are, how little time they have, how crazy their lives have become. Busyness and so-called multitasking. I say so-called because I don't think there's really such a thing as multitasking. You just stop doing one thing and do the other thing and go back and forth and back and forth. Okay. That has become such an issue that a major network morning show devoted a whole segment to it. And the show began with the camera zooming in on a cloistered Franciscan monk. Even in his monastery, Brother Sebastian had trouble finding time to eat and do other things because his cell phone and his emails are constantly demanding his attention. He probably had one of those iWatch things. Okay. Well, if the monks are multitasking in monasteries, the reporter says, imagine what the rest of us are up to. Well, I think I know. We're being too busy. Observing the destruction caused by the way we jam-pack our days, one clever writer defines busy as being under Satan's yoke, B-U-S-Y. Remember that the next time you say, oh, I'm busy. Only too late do we learn that it's not just about making a living. It's about having a life, one that is worth living. The loads of life are very heavy if you try to carry it all by yourself. And that's why there's something really appealing about the words of invitation that we hear in today's gospel. Now, the traditional text is always what I hear in my mind, no matter what translation is being read. It's probably because I can't help but hear the music of Handel from his masterpiece, The Messiah, running through my head, the choir singing, his yoke is easy and his burden is light. So for me to hear the invitation of Jesus with new ears, it helps to hear a modern paraphrase. The message has been very popular in recent years. In this version, Jesus says, are you tired, worn out, burned out on religion? Come to me. Get away with me and you'll recover your life. I'll show you how to take a real rest. Walk with me and work with me. Watch how I do it. Learn the unforced rhythms of grace. I won't lay anything heavy or ill-fitting on you. Keep company with me, and you'll learn to live life freely and lightly. Now, when Jesus said this, he was actually echoing the words of a Jewish teacher from Jerusalem, Ben Sira, who lived there 200 years before the time of Jesus. And he wrote this invitation to those seeking wisdom. Put your neck under her yoke, and let your souls receive instruction. It is to be found close by. See with your own eyes that I have labored but a little, and found myself much serenity. But what does this great invitation mean? Jesus outlines 3 steps: work with me, follow my example, and embrace a life of peace. Jesus' promise of rest, however, is not the rest of inactivity or taking it easy. As Harry Emerson Fosdick is quoted as praying, we ask not for easy lives, but for adequacy. We ask not to be freed from storms, but to build our houses on rock that will not fail. We ask not for a smooth sea, but for a stout ship, a good compass, and a strong heart. This promise of rest is possible because Jesus has offered not to take away our burdens and problems, but to share the load with us, next to us. Now, not many people have seen an actual real yoke, the kind that oxen use. Anyone out there seen an actual real yoke? A handful. A good yoke is crafted to minimize chafing. And Jesus' yoke is kind to our shoulders, making it easier to bear the load. It doesn't diminish our accountability, but it makes it easier to bear our responsibility with greater ease. Jesus is offering to be part of a team, to be yoked together with him. So what happens if we really do that? Jesus promises peace for our souls, rest for our weary bodies, and I'll give you a good example. Meditation and mindfulness, or prayer, if that works better for you, has been shown medically to increase blood flow to the brain, to improve the quality of sleep, to reduce stress and depression, to lower blood pressure, and increase self-confidence. But most of us, I fear, don't take the time for self-care. We don't think it's time effective. We can't squeeze that in. 2 men were in a wood chopping contest. One guy worked hard all day, barely even taking a break to eat. The second guy, he took time for lunch and took several breaks through the day. And at the end of the day, it was the second guy who ended up with the larger pile of chopped wood. And the first guy was shocked and complained, "I don't get it. Every time I checked, you were just taking it easy. How did you chop more wood than me?" And the answer was simple. His opponent said, "What you didn't notice was that when I sat down to rest, I was sharpening the axe." We need to take the time for rest and renewal, physically, emotionally, spiritually. Sharpen the axe. A yoke pairs 2 animals together. Usually one is stronger than the other, and so it is when we are yoked with Christ. If we try to go it alone, carrying the burdens of life by ourselves, all too often we lack the motivation to seek out real changes in our lives, or maybe at least not until the pain is so great that we can't take it anymore. Are you tired of carrying the burdens that life has put on you? Take a $300,000 mortgage, car payments on the SUV, a $15,000 balance on the Visa card, some student loan debt, trying to keep up with the stock market, kids, and add a job that you can't stand, or at least you can afford to change. That is a heavy yoke. Or surrender. That's right. Give it all up, or at least the parts that you don't really need. Take the time for yourself, for your own spiritual and emotional growth. Spend more time with your loved ones. Find a ministry in the church or community where what you do makes a difference in this world. Now, that is an easier yoke. So, which yoke do you want? We have 2 options. We can carry things alone by ourselves and bear the burden alone, or we can share that burden with another. As we share yokes with Jesus, we can bear the most impossible burdens because we're not doing it alone. We find rest for our souls and whatever burdens beset us. Now, I want to turn around here and have a little cautionary note, lest we think that all we have to do is come to Jesus and all of life's problems will just vanish. Poof, they're all gone. Hear a parody of the old poem, Footprints in the Sand. I imagine most of you have heard that at one time or another. One night I had a wondrous dream. One set of footprints there was seen, the footprints of my precious Lord, but mine were not along the shore. But then some stranger prints appeared, and I asked the Lord, what have we here? Those prints are large and round and neat. But Lord, they are too big for feet. My child, he said in somber tones, for miles I carried you alone. I challenged you to walk in faith, but you refused and made me wait. You disobeyed and would not grow. The walk of faith you would not know. So I got tired, I got fed up, and there I dropped you on your butt. Because in life there comes a time when one must fight and one must climb, when one must rise and take a stand or leave their butt prints in the sand. Of course, Jesus promises never to leave us stranded or alone, but that promise is no excuse for failing to do our part, to take up our cross, to use the gifts that God has given us to make this a better world because we are in it. And it's up to us to decide which yoke we want, the one we struggle with alone or the one we carry together with Jesus. We have a choice. We can do it our way and find our butt prints in the sand, or we can accept Jesus' invitation, come unto me, and find the rest and peace of mind that we really need. Amen.